We are back on a Sunday morning with the drink of choice for many this holiday weekend. We are talking about bourbon. Now, the best-selling spirit in this country. It's seeing a big boom, especially along Kentucky's famed Bourbon Trail.
And leading the charge of that boom, in many cases, are women. So, also a great excuse to take a road trip and sample some of that success for ourselves.
Across the bluegrass state, brown reigns supreme.
There are more bourbon barrels aging in Kentucky right now than there are people living in the state.
The birthplace of America's native spirit still produces 95% of the world's supply. Good news for the industry as its popularity continues to grow on the screen.
Hell of a cocktail.
And in the bars, especially with women.
I think women are trying to get away from that little pink drink and getting more interested in what they're drinking.
It's smooth and warm inside. It's happy.
Order a high-proof bourbon and the bartender automatically has a lot of respect for you.
Marianne Barnes knows a few things about surprising people. At 28, she's not only one of the youngest bourbon master distillers, she's also the first woman to hold the title in nearly 100 years.
There's not a lot of master distillers that look like this.
Hand-selected to help revive one of the country's oldest distilleries and develop a new bourbon, Marianne is modeling her blend on a sample made right here in 1917.
As you're thinking about the bourbon that you're going to produce, do you approach it differently, you think, as a woman?
Women, it's a scientific fact, have a better sense of taste. So I think that I can nuance the spirit and, develop recipes with a complexity that, maybe some folks can't.
And as more women gather to share the experience, the state is seeing an uptick in visitors. Nearly 750,000 people from all 50 states have already visited Kentucky's Bourbon Trail this year. A trend distillers hope will one day put the region on par with California's famed Napa Valley. And it just may be the women who lead that charge.
I'm a very public face for what's going on in the industry, and I would love to inspire other women to come in and open doors for them.
So here's the thing. So as Marianne was saying, she has this really in-tune palate. She can actually identify 200 different flavors in a glass. You sort of sniff it a little bit like wine. It's like some vanilla and only 95. Okay.
Yeah.
So Dylan has some work to do. The other thing she told me that was really interesting is she said as a kid she was super picky. And that a lot of times people who are very picky as children when it comes to different foods, it's because they have this really heightened palate. So they can taste and smell all of these different flavors. So the broccoli tastes extra disgusting because it's so pungent.
So you're just giving all the kids out there
I am.
good excuses for their parents and grandparents for Sunday night dinner.
My son Sawyer is like, thank you, I never have to eat broccoli again. Stop putting it on my plate. I'll just be a bourbon distiller.
It was interesting to watch this, though, because my husband drinks bourbon and whiskey, and I try to like it, and I take a sip, and it's just so leathery and smoky to me. But, maybe it's just something that I have to learn more about. Like with red wine, it took me a while to
You have to
really
learn to
enjoy
appreciate
red
it,
wine.
and it really is a sipping drink, and it's interesting you say that. A lot of women are drinking it, too, because it's kind of like you walk in, you're a woman who walks into a bar and orders a bourbon, like kind of a force to be reckoned with.